guys, and welcome to another Pokemon Fight Club Fantasy League Draft Recap. Today it's a little special because I led the interviews with everybody else, but it's my turn to present my team. So I'm joined once again by someone that you might uh, be getting used to, Damien, who's gonna lead the interview and ask me the questions that I ask everybody else. So Damien's on Skype.
Hey everybody.
All right, so you have the list of questions that I ask everybody else, and I give
Yes,
you
I
the
do.
lead.
Alright. Well, the first question up is explain each of the 11 Pokemon you drafted and how you think they can help you out this season.
All right, so my first Pokemon was Mega Metagross. This wasn't much of a hard pick because Mega Metagross is my favorite Pokemon all around. Well, Mega Metagross is my favorite Pokemon, and Mega Metagross is my favorite Mega Evolution. I'd say we're tied with Absol maybe.
Hmm.
Um, with that ability Tough Claws and those 700 slash 600 base points, it's so powerful. It can be used as a special Pokemon to surprise the opponent. It doesn't have the best special stats, but some Pokemon with the about the same base special attack can do some work in the UU and those kind of tiers. So I wonder if, well, not I wonder, but I know Mega Metagross will be able to surprise with special moves if I really need to. So yeah, it's a personal favorite and a very very good Pokemon. So I wanted to build my team around it.
Okay, and what about your first OU pick that you have, Rotom Wash?
Rotom Wash, the Pokemon with only one weakness. I think this is an extremely good Pokemon. It can be very versatile. It can run Trick with the Choice Scarf or Choice Specs. It can be a calm, specially defensive wall. It can be a bold nature. It can run a Will-O-Wisp. It can run 4 attacks with hidden power. It can do so much things. It can run Pain Split. It can run uh, so many things. I think it's very versatile, and there's a reason for Rotom Wash to be in OU while all the other Rotom forms are in the lower tiers.
And what about your second OU Pokemon, Raikou?
Okay, so Raikou isn't a Pokemon I'm extremely used to playing with. However, it can be run in multiple ways. It's naturally fast, so you can run it with a choice specs. If you want to outspeed everybody, you can run it with a choice scarf. You can also run it life orb, leftovers, assault vest. You can run it in many ways. Uh, Hidden power ice or hidden power grass are the most common hidden power moves, and I know I'll play around with them in the throughout the weeks. Um, you can use it for scout and use volt switch. You can use moves like extra sensory. I think it can get shadow ball stuff like that, and it can even uh, it's not very it's not very good, but to surprise once again, it can use a physical moveset.
And that is the end of the OU round. After the OU round, we had the UU draft, and you drafted for your first UU pick, Milotic.
Malotic, the most annoying wall in the EU tier, I think. With Marvel Scale, it can be used as a sponge for uh, status conditions. Let's say someone wants to burn my Mega Metagross. I switch out to Milotic, and it takes the Will-O-Wisp, and with the burn, its physical defense goes up, and it's already a pretty damn good special. It's already got a pretty good special defense, so it can be a Pokemon that is very hard to break through.
And then right after, you picked a favorite, which I think is in UU, Hydreigon.
Um, yeah, I picked it mostly because of A Drive. When I watched his UCL draft recap, he brought the point that Hydreigon, except for uh, fighting moves, resists everything that Metagross is weak against. So fire, It's immune to ground, stuff like that. But yeah, Mega Metagross is neutrally damaged by fighting, and Hydreigon is weak to it. So I can go around with those two Pokemon and avoid getting hit by a super effective move, especially if I poison something to wear it down with throughout the turns and something like that. So yeah, Hydreigon is a very key Pokemon for me.
And right after UU, we went straight into RU, and this is a Pokemon that was floating around the board for a little bit, and that was Scrafty.
Yeah, Scrafty was. I know Casey won't like it, but not only did I take it to avoid Scrafty being available to Casey because I know how good he is with him, and he's a conference rival, so I really don't want him to have Scrafty. So I told him, if you want it, you're gonna have to trade for it. And he didn't reply by the affirmative, so I think he wants me to keep it because he doesn't want to give up something that's important to him. So, anyways, Scrafty has the main weakness of Scrafty is the fact that he is 4 times weak to Fairy. But I have some Pokemon that are there just to sponge Fairy hits, Fairy attacks like Mega Metagross, Pyroar can tank some, Steelix and Nidoqueen that I'll talk about later. So yeah, Scrafty is very dangerous when you set up a Dragon Dance, and it can also be used as a attack dropper for the opponent with its Intimidate ability. So I can double switch just to lower its attack if I see a Pokemon is setting up or something like that. It can be used in many ways.
And speaking of Casey, the Pittsburgh Steelixes, for your next RU pick, you actually got Steelix.
Yeah, I was picking at Casey saying that after picking your favorite Pokemon, I'm picking your mascot. But finally, it didn't. It wasn't my. I didn't pick Steelix just to once again steal it from Casey. I knew I needed something to put up the rocks. Mega Metagross can set up the rocks, but you don't want to waste a move slot on a setup move with such a powerhouse. So Steelix is there to take one or two, maybe three hits. It's got sturdy, so it's gonna be very useful. It can set up the rocks. It's gonna be a role player in many battles.
And the next to final rounds were the NU round, and your first one that got drafted was Pyroar.
Pyroar, a very underestimated Pokemon. Um, Most people run it special with Specs, Life Orb, or a Scarf. I also run it with these items for the most part, I'd say. But I'm actually trying out a Jolly Choice Band one with Moxie, and it's working good. If you can revenge kill, it can become a physically offensive beast. So with moves like Fire Fang that have the chance to flinch and to burn, with moves like a Return and stuff like that, it can be used as a physically offensive Pokemon. So I also like the design on it. I like many parts of Pyroar. So yeah,
And this next NU one was discussed by a few of us actually, and that was Miss Magius.
yeah, Miss Magus. I know I needed a spin blocker. That's the main reason of it. Also, it's so fast that I can use it as a Destiny Bond if I know somebody's setting up. I can use it as a taunt. For taunt, I can use it for many other offensive missions. It can and has access to Dazzling Gleam, Psychic, Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, stuff like that. I can run it Scarf, Specs. I can run it Assault Vested. It's got a pretty decent special defense, so it can fill in many roles. But it's a little frail on the physical side, so I gotta be careful with it.
Well, speaking of frail and physical, we have the pickup round that was next, and for your first one, you actually drafted Chansey.
Chansey is is frail on a stats basis, but if you run it with an Eviolite with bold nature and full HP, we're not talking about frail anymore. The only thing that Chansey is really scared about on a physical side is fighting moves. Otherwise, it can take some flare blitzes, some bullet punch, meteor mashes, stuff like that. It will survive. I want also to use it as a stealth rocker, as a cleric. I can use it for so many things. Toxic, thunder wave. I can use it as a wish passer. I can use it for many missions, and I think my team will greatly benefit from Chansey.
And to have a few immunities on your side, I see you also chose Needle Queen.
Yeah, Nidoqueen for I'd say another um, multiple role Pokemon. It can be a very destructive Pokemon with sheer force. It can both be used as a physical and a special Pokemon. Even though its stats are higher on physical side, I think it gets access to a wider move pool on a special side. Other thing that can help with Nidoqueen, it can set up the toxic spikes. It can use Roar. It can be a very bulky Pokemon. Stuff like that that made me interested in drafting it. Also, if I get some toxic spikes on my side, I can switch in with Nidoqueen and remove them. So it can fill in many roles, but I don't see it as a potential 6-0 sweeper.
And that was the end of the draft for the Montreal Crawdaunts. Now, Frank, out of all those, which one would be your sleeper pick most likely, and the pick you are least satisfied with?
Um, I'd say they could almost be the same Pokemon. It's kind of weird. Pyroar, if the my opponent is not prepared for it, can tear through a team pretty easily. Especially with timid nature and choice specs when I go with moves like Fire Blast. If I'm lucky enough not to miss, it can do a lot of damage. Same thing for Hyper Voice. For Ghost Pokemons, I can use like Dark Pulse and stuff like that. I think Pyroar has the potential to do some damage, but it's frail, so I need to be careful. And that's the and for the disappointing pick, I'd say it's Miss Magus because I was really aiming for Golurk. Um, I'm happy with Miss Magus because it can fill in so many roles. I already said it, but I really wanted a ground Pokemon before Nidoqueen to get the Stealth Rocks and get the electric immunity and stuff like that. Um, Golurk, in my opinion, would have been a better Pokemon than Miss Magus, but I kind of catched up with Chansey and Nidoqueen. So yeah, Pyroar could also be a disappointing one, but I think, as I said, it can also be a very dangerous one.
Agreed. But, Frank, why did you join the PFC League?
Well, first of all, I'm an admin on the PFC group, so um, when uh, when talking with the other admins, I had the idea of getting a UCL/GBA league started. We were talking about it, me, Casey, David, and Dustin, who is not who are not involved in the league. Well, Casey is, but David and Dustin aren't. We were talking about it and seeing how to get some activity on the group, and we were really talking about a fantasy league. Then Jeff Bridges came with the idea on the group, and I told him, you know, Jeff, we're already planning it, so jump on board and help us doing it. So yeah, that's the main reason why I was interested in the PFC League. Not only because I created it with my friends, but only because I wanted to have something getting up on PFC.
And what are your objections this season?
My objectives, I'd say, are first of all to get a very good record in the regular season. Um, I want to take everything I can get Uh, must it be from learning new strategies, experience dealing with pressure and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be so competitive because everybody in this league is so good that you gotta deal with pressure in the right way. So I wanna learn as much as I can in this league.
Well, speaking of pressure a little more, besides yourself, who do you think is the hardest person to beat so far?
This can be seen both as a skill competition and a team competition. I think skill-wise, Casey and I are pretty much on the same level, and Casey is probably the best. I'd say, except me, he's the best competitive player. Team-wise, I'm looking at other teams, and I'm hesitating between Jeff and Casey. But if I'd had to pick, with Pokemons like Mew, like Venusaur, like Infernape that can surprise everybody with both a special or a physically offensive or a mixed moveset, Pokemons like Weezing, Weavile, and stuff like that, I gotta say the best team is Jeff's team. So yeah, skill-wise, I'm very afraid of Casey, and team-wise, I'm very afraid of Jeff.
Well, you are the third person to say that so far, Frank.
Yeah, I know. Everybody thinks it.
But this is actually the end of the questions, man.
Thanks a lot. So I'm taking back the lead to thank you, Damien, for leading the interview. It was very nice of your part to help.
It was my pleasure, man.
All right. So I'm saying you guys, thanks a lot for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and also like our my Facebook page and join our Facebook group if you or join our Facebook group if you want to follow the league from the inside. Um, I'm gonna let Damien present his YouTube account and stuff like that to close up the video.
Hey everybody, my YouTube name is actually Driven Gaming on there. I'm in the same group as Frank here in the same league, so just join the league. You can follow me there on Facebook as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on both sides of the YouTube, both Frank's and mine. And at that, I will let Frank end this video.
All right, thank you guys for watching. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.